Well, you know, he is the pastor and founder of 2819 Church. Please welcome our guest today, Philip Anthony Mitchell. Come on in. Here he comes. We got the right music for him right there.
Well,
hey, ladies. Hey, ladies. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you.
It's so good to have you. Well, you know, the need for revival, I think, is greater than ever.
Yeah.
But how do we awaken our first love? Philip Anthony Mitchell is here to share how we can reignite the fire of faith and see a powerful move of God in our lives. We want to talk about kind of your testimony because it's so powerful. But right before we do that, I mean, you are experiencing revival, a real revival in Atlanta right now at your church. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, our church, 2019, started January 23, 183 disciples in that room. And God has just added to the church. We see maybe over 5,000 people right now in worship. And I think one of the things that's most beautiful that it is not man-centered, right? And so the church grew even while I was away on the summer, on sabbatical. And I think one of the things that we like to just marvel at is the fact that there's no gimmicks there, right? There's no stunts. We don't do any special promotions. I mean, we're just preaching Christ.
Yeah.
I've been in a series in Matthew for 2 years, and the Lord has just added as Christ has been exalted.
Yeah.
So we're just marveling at what Jesus is doing right now.
Well, you know, you and I were talking earlier, and I told you that a couple of weeks ago, a precious man of God gave me a word that he said, you know, Joni, do you want resurrection or do you want healing?
That's good.
Because in resurrection is more powerful, but it's more difficult,
Right.
Because something has to die.
Yeah. Right.
And he said, you know, with healing, Jesus could have gotten there early for Lazarus, and Lazarus had been healed.
Yeah.
And it would have been a great story.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is Lazarus died
Yeah.
and was resurrected, and it became a story that would echo through time.
Yeah.
And so there's some of you watching today, there's some stuff going on and some things are dying in your life and you don't understand, but God's saying,
so
if
good.
you'll trust me through this process, there's going to be a resurrection.
That's good.
And it doesn't mean that during that process that you don't experience some pain, because you will. And you experienced that with the church. So tell us what happened during COVID. I mean, it had to be devastating for you.
It was probably one of the darkest seasons of my ministry. When COVID hit, my wife and I, we lost our facility, we lost our staff, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
The church that you were pastoring
church I
just
was
went
pastoring.
under.
Yeah, everything
And there
just
were a
went
lot of
under.
churches that went under.
Yeah, totally went under. And I remember where I was in the gym when I had not only just lost our church, but I lost things that were intangible. I lost hope. I lost faith. I lost courage. I just did not see a way out of where we was. And I remember going home telling my wife, I think that's it. I think we're over. And I laid my head in my wife's lap. You gotta be careful whose lap you lay your head into. Yes. So I laid, and she just.
That was the right lap.
Yeah, that was the right lap. Right. Didn't get a haircut that day, right? And, didn't get a haircut. But my wife is a godly woman, Lena, and she spoke life into me. She said, honey, if you quit now, you won't be able to see what the Lord would do if you just continue. And I just look at what Jesus is doing now. I think I would have threw all of that away had I not continued.
You know, it was probably about 6 months ago, I had a dream, a vision. I'm not sure which one it was. But in the dream, and this was a dream, it's not witchcraft, it was a dream. And I heard my late husband say to me, what is the #1 lesson that I taught you? And I said, perseverance. And that is really what she said to you.
Yeah.
She was like, you know, it's dark right now, but you cannot give up.
Yeah.
You have to press on. And so in the midst of all that, what happened as far as God opening a door supernaturally for you to then get this school and down or in Atlanta area and start having services? How many, did you start all over again?
Yeah, we had to start over from scratch. And so the very first Sunday of 2819 after New Year's Eve, there was 183 disciples in that room. And I was sharing with Joni off camera that before that happened, the Lord had really wrung out my heart. He took me through a season, about 6 months, where I was really just dealing with the sins of my own heart. To be honest, if I could be transparent, I had a lot of vanity in my heart. You know, you wanted a big church, you want a big following, you want all these things that are fleeting. That's not going to matter, right? And the Lord had to really wring all of that out of
Even
my
in
heart.
social media.
Even social media.
You had to just push that aside.
Yeah, I had to just stop caring about following, church size, all of that. The Lord wrung all of that out of my heart. So when we start 2019, I made a commitment to the Lord. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to be faithful to the proclamation of the scriptures. And whoever you put in front of me, I'm going to be faithful to lead them into discipleship. And that was it. You know, I had no desire for platforms. I didn't have the bucket list of the places I want to preach. Like, all those things was out of my heart. It's almost as if the things that I desired when I was in vanity, as soon as I let those things go, it's like the Lord brought all those things into my life, which was just mind-blowing to me. Yeah.
That's so encouraging, I think, to hear, especially some of you watching right now, to understand that you're not going to stay right here where you are, what's going on. God is doing something if you will just trust him through the process. And really, I think that surrender prayer of God, whatever you need to do, you know, in me. So many times we're just always pointing our finger at everybody else, their fault, and they did this and that. But I mean, what do you need to do in me, in my heart? That was really the prayer that changed everything for you.
100%. And it was also just a desire for just purity, right? And so I think one of the things that's very important, like Psalm 24 is one of my favorite Psalms, and there is a question in that Psalm that we don't want to address. Who can ascend the hill of the Lord? You know, and when I think about that, I feel like what God wanted for me was just a heart that was fully surrendered, a heart that was trending towards purity. And I think once my heart got to a place where the Lord can trust my heart, things begin to shift in our life. It's almost like I was resurrected into a brand new man.